Hello, everyone. I hope you all can see us. We should be live here on Facebook and YouTube and LinkedIn. So we're trying something new here with the new platform. We're using Restream. So you should be able to see us, and let me know if you can. We should be getting your comments coming in. I'm getting a little bit of an echo. Are you hearing that, Lindsay?
I'm not.
Okay, good. So hopefully you don't have that on your end when you're talking. I'll just power through here. So we're here today for our GoWP Experts live series, and we have Lindsay Halsey, who is the founder of Pathfinder SEO. Lindsay's going to be our GoWP expert on SEO, obviously. So she's fantastic. We've had webinars with her in the past. Most of you all, if you're in the community, you already know her and have worked with her. A lot of you have. So we're really fortunate to have her. And yeah, I'll just pass it over to you, Lindsay.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Emily, for setting this up and for you all for joining. I am Lindsay Halsey with Pathfinder, and I love talking about all things SEO and answering questions. And so I'd really like to make this time as beneficial for you all by allowing you to jump in with any questions you have, and I'll answer them on the fly to the best of my ability and try to keep things dynamic here. I thought, since this is our first session and you may not have questions ready to rock and roll, that I'd start and just share with you a little bit about what we've been talking about with a lot of our customers about SEO at our agency. So at our agency this year, things have felt really dynamic in the SEO space, more so than they have in the past. And a big part of that is the rise of AI and its integration in Google and Bing, which is a work in progress, and tools like ChatGPT that a lot of our customers come to us looking for insights as to how to utilize those. How are we utilizing them? Does this threaten their SEO traffic, etc.? So that's been one big theme that we've been talking about. And the other big theme is the transition from Universal Analytics to Google Analytics 4. Which doesn't just pertain to SEO, because it's how we track our website performance across the board, but it is a big component of how we measure our SEO success. And so I thought I'd start by just covering a little bit about AI, and you can see I have a pretty blank screen here pulled up with just a Google window, and share with you a little bit about how we've been using ChatGPT at our agency and what I've been kind of showing clients that they can do. The first kind of thing that I've been sharing with clients is that when we utilize ChatGPT, we're not utilizing it to just simply generate the content for a blog post. We're not saying write a 1,200-word blog post about any topic, but instead we're using it as a tool, just like a calculator, and we're using it to accelerate us through some components that are sometimes time-consuming to delivering SEO services. And other times we're using it to round out and make sure we don't have any bias or kind of or other things that are leading to some of our research or strategy being incomplete. And so to keep things dynamic, I thought I'd just share with you a handful of the real world, ChatGPT prompts that I've used that are SEO related of late, and we can do some new ones here. But the first was a client has been long time blogging about wine and was out of ideas about what to write about. And so we just said, okay, in the past, the way I would have done that is I would have come in and I would have done research in Google about wine. I would have maybe turned to like an Answer the Public tool and put in keywords around wine and started to generate some ideas that way. And I would have come up with a list of, 10 to 50 blog post topics. But I thought maybe this time I just turn to ChatGPT and say, generate a list of 50 blog post topics for a blog about wine. And I got this list, generated here. And I went through and I cross-referenced this list to see, has the client already written about some of these topics? And if so, did they do a good job? Should they do some content revisions around those? Or are there some new ideas in this mix? And I kind of pared it down to a list of 25 topics and sent that to the client. And so this is just a really great example where it saved me a lot of brain power. It sped things up. And I was pretty pleased with the output I got. So here's one use of AI, which is generating ideas around topics. In my next prompt, I wrote a blog post, and I really struggle with writing introductions and conclusions to blog posts. So I am good with the middle part, but the beginning and the end, I struggle with. And so I basically kind of use the prompt, write a conclusion for this blog post, and I pasted in all of my content. This is for a blog that I wrote for our own Pathfinder blog. And then I had ChatGPT generate a conclusion that I could then pull into my content and kind of streamline. So this is an area where I would describe it as more rounding out some of my skills or lack thereof. So try to leverage something I am good at, which is the meat of the post, to then get me through something that sometimes can be the showstopper, the thing that prevents me from getting a piece of content published, because I just don't want to get that done. So another use case for the tool. Here's a use case that goes to something oriented to a task I was working on for a client. So I wanted to target a keyword space around Aspen family ski vacations. And another kind of weak point of mine is essentially the idea that I don't know how to title the post, right? So it's like, I know the keyword I want to use and I know what I want to write about, but I'm not super creative when it comes down to the piece of the puzzle that is the title. And so I have ChatGPT generate a list of 3 blog post title ideas for the post. I get these 3 ideas and I felt like they were a little bit lengthy for me. So I gave it feedback, make them a little shorter. And then I'm like, okay, this is great. The next thing I need is an outline for this post. And one of the things I really love about ChatGPT is the structure it gives to my writing. And so I can have ChatGPT, create an outline, and I would have come up with a lot of the same ideas in here, but maybe I would have missed one of these segments. And so to make my content more comprehensive, which makes it more SEO friendly, ChatGPT can sometimes help us avoid missing a blind spot, especially if the topic isn't our area of expertise, if you're doing this kind of work for a client. And so my use case here is basically as the SEO account manager working with this client, I need to send a task to my copywriter to go and write original content about a given topic. So I'm kind of picking the topic and maybe making some suggestions for the title. And maybe I want to give my copywriter a little bit more insight and say, okay, I want this post to have 4 sections. And I want 1 section for getting to, 1 for accommodations, 1 for après-ski, etc. And so I can take this and sort of give my writer something that's going to give them a lot more direction, which is going to speed up our writing process, lead to a better finished product, etc. And so I can do that here. And so that can be a great place. Another area is sometimes I get a piece of writing and I just want to kind of change the wording around. And so here, I think I grabbed this directly from a website and I didn't want to utilize it, verbatim. And so I had ChatGPT do some rewriting of some existing content out there, and kind of had to play around. It kind of kept making it really long, etc. And so I had a couple of those pieces. And then you can see I sent the copy to the copywriter. They wrote great content. And I decided that I didn't love the first introductory paragraph. I didn't think it was quite engaging enough. And so I had ChatGPT spice it up a little. And I said, hey, can you make this more engaging? And I got a little bit of content that I could then pull in. And so I'm not utilizing ChatGPT to simply, like I said, write the blog post for me, because really I do want it to be powered by genuine expertise and experience in the field. But I do really like essentially utilizing it to supplement that work, to speed it up and to round it out a bit. So just a couple of examples of how ChatGPT can be really helpful when you're delivering SEO services or even working on projects on your own agency website. I think here's another one that I had to do on a topic I know nothing about: cyber threats to financial institutions. And sometimes I'm also giving these ideas to the client, trying to help them if they're stuck, if they're going to be the writer. Maybe this is something that I can provide to the client that's going to help them get over that hurdle of creating a content outline. Let's see if I skip ahead here. Another one with blog post ones. Going to come in here to another area. Oh, actually, this is a different one. I did a lot of brainstorming for a client on keywords, and this organization works in the refugee resettlement space. And so I had a long list of keywords, and I just basically said, organize this list of keywords into topical clusters. So here's my laundry list, which I don't like because it's not organized in a topical manner, and it's really long. And so ChatGPT did the heavier lifting that I would normally kind of do a drag and drop in a spreadsheet. And it came up with the topics and the suggestions, and then let me know which keywords fit into each one. And this really sped up the process for me of clustering my keywords into different spaces. And so there are so many ways I could go on and on about how you can utilize a tool like ChatGPT to accelerate you through some of the tedious parts of SEO service delivery, or that can really supplement your work and sometimes help you do better, or in other cases can round out some areas of weakness for us. Another big area that I kind of struggle with sometimes is in coming up with social media posts. So I write a blog post and then I don't do a great job of coming up with social posts, so I don't actually share it anywhere. And so I could do something similar with this content here that I'll grab, and maybe I'll just start a new chat and say, create 5 social media messages to promote this content to digital agency owners who build websites. And so then I'm giving a little bit of context on the who, because sometimes I get better messaging when ChatGPT knows my intended audience for the post. And you can see here, this isn't that other area of a weakness for me, is like I get the content live, but then I don't share it on social. And so in here, it's really great because I get a bunch of social media messages that I can go in and then get scheduled, and something I really like. And I saw something in the Facebook group, a little bit of a comment about what tools out there allow for you to generate social media posts via AI, but then also do the publishing, kind of like a buffer with an AI integration. And I haven't gotten to play in that space there, but that is an area that I think will be really welcomed to kind of accelerate and speed things up for us in that space. So these are just a couple of ways that I've been talking to clients, and other people on our team about how we can utilize AI to really jumpstart our SEO services delivery. When it comes to introducing this topic to clients, I like to basically let them know that AI, is a growing area, and there is going to be overlap in Google and Bing as Google comes out with its integration with AI, and same with Bing. And that basically what we're going to do for them is help them navigate through this transition through search evolving, essentially. And that as much as AI is in the news a lot, things still in Google and Bing and Yahoo are still, pretty traditional. We still, when we go to Google and we do a search, we still see our listings and our snippets in pretty standard ways, to the past. So this isn't just, blowing up the world of Google overnight, and it's something that will help our clients navigate through. I let them know that, we don't recommend using ChatGPT to just simply fire up your blog and to go write all your posts, that Google really values that concept of expertise and experience, which doesn't come out of what kind of content a ChatGPT is going to generate for you. But then we kind of show them some of the ways that they might leverage the tool in their day-to-day world that might help them. And so a lot of that context is via Zoom, doing a call kind of just like this and doing some examples. and helping them feel like this technology is a little less threatening and a little more appealing to them in terms of being a time saver. And you can talk to them. Maybe you're running their blog for them, you're running their social, etc. So they don't really need to worry about these, but that they would really benefit from something like write a response to this email, dot, dot, dot. Maybe they spend a lot of time in their email. And so you kind of introduce them to the idea that they could use ChatGPT to help accelerate maybe writing difficult emails or something like that. Knowing where your client is sort of stuck in their day-to-day world and what might help them can just help them get more comfortable with the technology, so that as there is more integration of AI into search, they have a little bit of a backstory of what's been going on here and can follow along. The other thing that I've been sharing with customers a little bit in this, as they feel a little bit threatened, like their content marketing, a big common question we've been getting, will my content marketing efforts that I'm doing today be for naught because everybody is just going to get their answers directly on Google or in a chat GPT, and they're not going to come to my website anymore? And, basically, will SEO die or something extreme like that? And we reassure them that it won't, but that also one of the big, limiting factors is this idea of trust behind the information. And so in AI, the data set gets trained, and then we don't know, it's not as modern up to 2023 in terms of what it's been trained on. And we don't always know where the information came from. So we don't always get the best necessarily, the best information. It's not always fully vetted by a real industry expert. And so one of the ways that Google is sort of trying to help reassure users that Google's not going anywhere is you can see in here when you do a search, you get these little 3 bars, and then you get this little about the result. You can see quite a bit about what's going on in here to give us a sense of trust of like, why did I get this listing as my number one response to this question? And is this trustworthy? Is this personalized? I can control my privacy settings, etc. And, you can see in here essentially how did I get the result that I did? And if I don't like the result, I can remove it, or I can save it, or I can share it, etc. And so there is a lot, in the power of the algorithms at Google. There's a lot to vet that the quality of the response is relevant, but it's also a trustworthy site that has strong authority. And so that's one of the big assets that Google and Yahoo and Bing have behind sort of this, their technology and their search engine here. So just another kind of little thing I've been showing to clients about what's happening in the world of SEO. I see here a question or two have come in, and let's take a look. We've got, have you noticed if you give ChatGPT your targeted keywords and ask for a blog post, it does a good job of incorporating them in an effective manner? It does do a nice job of incorporating your keywords. So if you're going to have, them generate a post. So if I want to say, create a blog post about how to get started with Google Analytics 4, make it 800 words, include the keywords Google Analytics 4 for beginners. I'll just say include the keyword. So here, if I have essentially a prompt where I say, go and write the content, and I give it the keyword I want it to focus on, I can see, it did a good job essentially of picking Google Analytics 4 for beginners. And getting the word getting started. It's taking something and breaking it down into sections. So I like that. And now if we inspect the quality of the content and look at this, basically, it's giving me a pretty good steps to get up and running. The first is I need to create a property that's accurate. The second is I need to get the tracking code on the website. That is the second step. The next thing is I should really customize it. I should set up events and conversions. And then the fourth step is I should start to get into the reporting, setting up some custom reports, and starting to analyze my data. So when I really look at the framework for this, the content accuracy is pretty spot on. And the titling, and I can see in here Google Analytics for Beginners is in there, and is relatively well utilized. 800 words is too short for this topic. And this post doesn't really have a strong conclusion to it. And I probably would want a header before step 1 and things like that. So there are all sorts of changes that I would make to the post. But overall, it does a pretty good job. There's also some really cool things that I've used ChatGPT to do to train up and get feedback about a piece of content. And so one of the things we tend to do a lot is revise existing content on our own blog and others. Sometimes something that did really well 5 years ago is outdated, maybe doesn't have enough structure, and maybe it's starting to get sluggish in the performance, and I kind of want to ramp it up. So I'm going to revise that content. And let's say I have a huge blog, or 20 posts, and I've got to decide like which ones should I do. I can go in and say, let's see, Google EEAT. I'm going to go and find some Google guidelines. Let's see. Search reader. I'm just trying to find up. Those are really long guidelines. Okay, so there was an update last year around from Google about content really needing to be helpful, reliable, and people first. And there's this self-assessment, and there's all this stuff going on. And I don't know about you, but this is like a really long checklist of things to self-assess against for every single piece of content. So the old way of doing this, if you were worried that a piece of your content didn't fit the newest and latest model for Google, would be to like go in and say yes, yes, no, no, no. And the hard part thing, and then you would come out with any of the places where the answer is no, would be areas that you would maybe want to revise on a piece of content. And so, the hard part here is A, this is a long list. And B, it's a little bit subjective. Some of these things I may struggle to come up with. And so I can actually train, basically ChatGPT a little bit by giving it this list. And okay, I'm just copying and pasting, and this is really long. So I can start a new chat, and I'm going to put in here, review these guidelines from Google and create a list of the 5 criteria that ensures a piece of content meets the guidelines. So let's see how it does with this prompt. So I'm basically asking ChatGPT to digest this very long piece of content for me, and to give me a dumbed down version that's a little bit easier. So now I have basically the 5 criteria: originality, expertise, quality, people first, and this idea of EEAT. And then I can basically say, okay, this is great. So what I can do here is I can use this sometimes to distill something really complicated and get it in language that I can communicate to my clients. So I can say, hey, Google came out with this update. You can read the full, version here. I wanted to let you know we're ahead of the curve here. We already do all these things when creating content for your business. And I wanted to give you the long and the short of it, which is that Google really rewards content that has originality, expertise, quality, etc. And I can communicate to my client about this update in a more concise way than just being like, hey, this document's really long and helpful, but clients don't want to read that. The other thing I can do now is I can actually go in and I can grab a piece of content on my website that's been potentially a long time good performer, and I can evaluate how does this content do against this guideline. So I can grab this content. Sorry, some kind of exit intent already popped up somehow. So I'm going to copy all of this content, and I'm kind of asking, like, does this content meet these guidelines? Evaluate this content against the 5 criteria if I could spell right, always hard in a live stream. Evaluate this content against the 5 criteria above on a scale of 0 to 10. And so then now I'm basically going to say, okay, now go and tell me if you think I'm doing well against the criteria above. And I'm getting a score, 9 out of 10, 8 out of 10, etc. And so it's evaluating this content. The only thing that I don't think it got right is up here. It's sort of created this originality, expertise, quality. I was expecting the tool, and in the past when I've used it in this capacity, to use those as the benchmarks. But it came up with some other information, but it did evaluate this content. And what I basically am seeing out of this is like this content is already in let's just give it a grade of a 9 out of a 10 overall, against what's going on. So I'm probably not going to see a lot of value in updating this piece. But if I was wondering which pieces need an update kind of in light of an algorithm change, or just if I wanted to kind of do a general study, I could go and take the top 10 or top 20 top performing posts, drop in their URLs in a spreadsheet, evaluate them, have ChatGPT evaluate them against a specific set of criteria that either I define or I train ChatGPT to define, and then get a scoring rubric and use that essentially to identify which pages should I go and invest in content revisions for. So all sorts of different ways that you can kind of utilize this. Any thoughts on the free versus paid version of ChatGPT? So I upgraded to the paid version because I was using it with clients in meetings, and then also sometimes in like calls like this. And and I would get timed out or whatever. I would run into some issues, and so it was worth the $20 per month. But I have to say I was using it for like over a month and getting plenty of resource out of the free version. And so that's definitely something I would just start with the free version. And if you feel at a certain point like you're getting blocked or not getting enough resource out of it, then you can just make a change there. The other thing I haven't played a lot with yet, just because mostly I was on vacation for like 10 days, was the ChatGPT 4 model, the latest model. So I think I keep using the default, and I haven't been using the more advanced model to see if it's better. I would assume it is, with maybe some bugs. But again, I look at this all as just like a calculator. It's just a tool in my tool set. And I utilize it when it's going to give me more accuracy. It's going to remove my bias. It's going to help me get through something I don't like doing or I'm not particularly good at. It's going to speed me up, etc. That's where I like to turn to ChatGPT and tools like this. Yeah, I like this Facebook comment. People first content. Let's use AI. Exactly. I'm going to use AI to see if we meet the mark on the people first content rule. But call me old school. We really are staying with the idea of copywriters, and obviously love the dedicated copywriters that we've gotten to work with over the years at GoWP. And really we're leaning on, we want it to be authentic, genuine. We want to tell stories in our content to give that sense that our content is powered by expertise and experience. And you just can't get that with an AI generating content tool like ChatGPT, or if you've tried other AI generating content tools that have been around for a long time. And so it's kind of coming up with this hybrid model that we've been liking, and that we've been giving our copywriter more direction and in less project management time, so that the finished product of our blog posts we feel like has been better for our clients. And a little bit faster in the writing process, since we're spending a little less doing things like creating an outline. GoWP said, we've had issues getting backlink and external link suggestions from ChatGPT. They're not always broken, or they're always broken or not found links. My guess, I haven't used ChatGPT much on the link building side of things, or like the external side. And I think it's just really because it's a language model. It's not an internet browser, or a Google type model in terms of the information it comes up with. So when I ask ChatGPT for things like generate a list of 25 statistics about SEO in 2023 and include their sources, all of the websites I get links to are older, and all the sites, because the model was trained. I don't even know the year or date and things like that, but it's just not as real time. And so we haven't been utilizing ChatGPT at our agency much on the backlink and external link suggestion side of things. Other questions in this realm, and then if not, I'll move over, or anything general about SEO. And if not, I'll move over and start chatting a little bit about Google Analytics 4, which is another big change for all of us and our clients and our agencies. Just kind of looking to make sure I got all the questions, and I'll keep checking the chat. But otherwise, let's talk about Google Analytics 4 for a few minutes. And essentially, Google Analytics 4 is here, and it's been here actually for a long while now. But the transition point is more imminent and has a defined date. On July 1st of this year, so essentially in 2 or 3 months, Google Analytics is going to stop tracking data in Universal Analytics, and the only data we're going to get to collect starting July 1st is going to be in our Google Analytics 4 properties. And Google Analytics 4 has been around for years, and the long-term recommendation has been to run GA4 in parallel to your Universal Analytics. And so what that looks like in here is that when I come into my settings, I essentially have 2 properties for one website. This is Pathfinder's own analytics. And I have my Google Analytics 4 property and my Universal Analytics property running hand in hand. And these will run hand in hand, and then eventually on July 1st, essentially what's going to happen is when I go to see, who's on my website on July 1st, I'm going to see 0 on July 1, because this is going to stop tracking data. So I'll have my historic data, and it'll continue to be available to me for an unknown amount of time. But then on July 1st, it's going to be GA4 or bust. And what this means for us as agency owners is a few things. The first thing it means is that we likely want to take the lead in helping our clients through this transition to GA4. So making sure their website has Google Analytics 4 running on it, making sure that they know we're on it, we're taking care of this as they get lots of emails from Google about the transition. And then ultimately at being well-versed at being able to analyze data in Google Analytics 4. And it's a pretty steep learning curve and a lot to ask. And I always preface this in the beginning with, this is all paid work, right? So whether you're doing this work for your clients as part of their web maintenance plan, maybe they have a healthy web maintenance plan and retainer that has enough hours per month in it, that you take care of their Google Analytics 4 transition for them as part of that. Maybe you take care of it as part of their monthly SEO services. That could be an option for you. Or you sell them some kind of a package that's going to allow you to do this work to help them make the transition. And so kind of determining which clients and tiering them off a little, saying, hey, here are my top tier clients that pay me some kind of a monthly retainer where I'm going to get this done. And here's my second tier clients where I'm going to go and try to sell them some kind of a package around this. And then here are the sites I'm just not going to worry about it on because they're inactive clients from many years ago, is sort of step one at our agency of wrapping our head around the transition. Step two is to get them tracking on Google Analytics 4, which I'm guessing many of you have done over the last 2 years or so that GA4 has been out. And essentially what that really means is coming into an existing account and creating a property for GA4 and then getting that tracking code for GA4 on your client's website. And so that tracking code, here's a GA4 property. It's kind of hidden under data streams. And then in the data stream, I can see in here this measurement ID is like the unique measurement ID for my site. And I can see in here all of the different ways I can get my tracking code on the website, view tag instructions. It's going to give me some different choices of how I might install this tracking code on my website. So that's step one, is getting GA4 up and running on a client's website. And then the next step is sort of customizing this setup. And to really complicate matters, about early February, Google Analytics basically figured out that people just weren't taking action here. And so there were a ton of users that had universal analytics properties that were collecting data. They had no GA4 property running in parallel. And so they were going to have no historic data and potentially no more tracking come July 1st when this transition hits. And so Google came up with sort of an automated migration option where right now the default setting is if you have an active universal analytics property, that means it's collecting data, and you've taken no action, then Google over the next couple months will go and automatically create you a GA4 property for you and do its best to get it collecting data. And by do its best, it means it depends what version of the tracking code you have on the site now. Some will work without having to change the code. Some would need the user to change the code. But that leaves a lot to Google's automated system, and it's quite vague as to how much and how well Google's going to be able to copy over settings. And then on top of it, we, a lot of times set up universal analytics for our clients like 10 years ago. And so there's some things that are probably outdated in those settings in the first place that I don't just want to copy over. I kind of want to like control the narrative a little here. And really, I really want to customize the way that the setting is set up. And so at our agency, we've been doing this manually for those clients. And what that means is in their universal analytics settings, I've been coming into, let's see, I think it's the GA4 setup assistant. This is under that universal analytics. And I've been disabling this automatic feature. So I've already disabled it for here. And basically what that means is I'm saying, no, Google, don't go do this. I've already done it, or I'm going to do it for my clients. And you have to do this on a property by property basis. So each account needs you to go in and do that. The second thing is I make sure that it's connected properly, that my universal analytics property, my GA4 property are connected accurately. If not, I can disconnect, or if there's no connection here, so that Google really understands the relationship of these two properties as being two properties running in parallel that basically represent one website. So those settings are all in this admin under GA4 Setup Assistant under Property in your Universal Analytics one. Once I've got that done, I can go over to GA4 and I can go through the Setup Assistant there. And so this account, there's a little step-by-step, piece of this puzzle. And this allows me to mark things as complete or not, or decide if I want to import from Universal Analytics on sort of a setting by setting basis. And so, the first thing I want to do is make sure I have data flowing. And when I know that I do, I can mark something as complete. And then I can basically go through and dial in my property settings. And there are like 3 or 4 here that I think are worth really kind of noting as a group. The first is this idea of Google Signals. Google Signals are by default turned off on your GA4 properties. Google Signals allow Google to do a better job connecting the dots about users when you're on different browsers. So if I'm on my phone in one place and on my desktop in another, I'm one user, but I'm 2 different sessions. With Google Signals turned on, Google can likely connect the dots and know that I'm one user. Without setting Signals turned on, I get to be known as 2 different individuals, essentially, and my data accuracy goes down. And Google Signals do a few other things to essentially enhance the data accuracy. You get more demographic information. You can create more audiences. It's better for remarketing. There's a lot of value to turning it on. It is, however, a little bit of it is GDPR compliant to have it turned on, but it is one of those areas that it is a bit about privacy and those things. And so it is something I usually review with my clients to make sure that they agree that we're going to turn it on. So by default, it's off. I'd recommend turning it on when you can, but in discussing it with your client before you do. The next big piece of the puzzle here is this idea of conversions. Conversions are sort of the key actions we want people to take on our website. And these are your key performance indicators. And this is so important because whether you're running a Google Ads campaign for a client or you're running maintenance and you want to be able to report back you had 10 form completions and they came from organic search, or you're running an SEO campaign and you want to talk about lead generation and sales, Google needs you to tell them what is a lead or what is a success on your website. And that is defined as a conversion. And so you actually have to go in and turn these on. And the way you do that is first you go to a website and you determine what is success on this website. And I look to define anywhere from I'd say 2 to 6 metrics of success of what does it mean to generate a lead or to close a sale on this website. And so an example of success on this website could be somebody viewing the pricing page. So a view of /pricing. Even better, it would be an actual sign up. Or earlier you saw some kind of an opt-in form pop up, somebody giving me their email address to sign up for a newsletter, etc. So I'm going to write all of those things down on a piece of paper, looking for kind of 2 to 6-ish key performance indicators for the site. And then I'm going to come into analytics and I'm going to see which ones do I already have the data collecting that I just need to turn on as a conversion. And so in here, I can start to see what do I already have in the system that could be a good signal of a goal. And here I see one, form_submit. This is a default event in analytics to track form submissions for me without me having to write any code in GA4. And I can simply turn this on as a conversion by clicking the switch right here. And so now all of a sudden I've said, anytime someone completes a form on our website, it's pretty much the signal of a lead. If we have to really, think about it like in those simple terms. And so I want to turn that on as a conversion. And then I have a couple that are pricing page views. I actually created these myself. I created the event because these wouldn't have been in here by default. Google wouldn't have known that's what I want to have happen on my website. I would have to kind of manually set that up and get that tracking. And I can look here and see basically which ones are ready to go out of that kind of list I made on my piece of paper and turn those on. And then which ones do I need to go out and figure out how to create? And I can basically, where's the gap? And then to figure out how to create them, sometimes I can create the event directly in analytics. I don't actually have to go and use a tool like Google Tag Manager. Sometimes I need to go create the event in a tool like Google Tag Manager to get the data to come in here. And so that's sort of Google Analytics for, a little more advanced tracking. But for most of our customers, we can get a lot of value in just simply getting their forms turned on as a conversion. And then one other simple one that I can teach you how to do, which is creating an event around a page view. So I'm in this events setting here. And I can click events and I can click create, and then I can call it something. Maybe I'm going to call it contact page view. And I'm going to go and find our contact URL here and say, when someone views our contact page, it's a pretty good indicator that they're a quality visitor. I'm going to grab that URL, and in here, I'm going to add the parameter is page location, and it's going to be equal to /content. Our contact. And so basically, it's saying it wants it to start with the full URL. So in this case, it wants my full URL like so. So I'm going to say every time someone goes to the contact page on this website, I want you to fire a custom event, call it contact_page view, and have it fire when this happens. And I click create, and now I have that event. Now in time, I'm going to see that come up as a conversion over here. Or as an event that I can then turn on as a conversion. And here I can see my list of all the conversions I have turned on. If someone downloads a file, completes a form, goes to these 2 pages, or makes a purchase, essentially I'm tracking that as an event. Although we don't have the purchase one dialed in because we're not an e-com site. So this isn't really applicable and doesn't have any data. So that's probably the second thing I would do. Google Signals, number 1. Number 2 is getting your conversion tracking dialed in for your clients. And then you can kind of go through this and start to mark other things as complete, just to be closing the loop. Like, we have the right users in the account. If you're running Google Ads, you can connect Google Ads in GA4. And then down here are a bunch of advanced GA4 settings that we're not going to use for 99.9% of our clients, which means pretty much nobody. So we just mark them as complete because these are just the kind of enterprise level of analytics that don't apply to our user base. So now I have GA4 kind of set up and ready to rock and roll, and for this client. And over the coming months, I can get more familiar with how to analyze the data and the reports. And then also, if you're doing any ongoing reporting, say reporting for your just general, website services or SEO specific reporting, you'll need to upgrade whatever your reporting software is to connect with GA4 so that you're pulling data out of the right data set come July 1st. So that was a quick and dirty overview of what's happening in GA4. And that's what's happening behind the scenes. And we're taking this approach very incrementally for our clients. So just saying, okay, in 1 month, let's get the GA code on the website. In another, let's get their conversion tracking set up. In another, let's get their new report built out, etc. But what the client experience really is on the other side is we're just letting them know, hey, we've got you covered here. This is how your monthly retainer services really add value for you. And we're on this, and you can just delete the emails from Google about GA4 because we've got you covered. So I've been chatting a lot here, and you've asked some great questions, and I'd love to hear any other general questions as that really covers the two big topics that I wanted to get through today. Also, if there is a theme that you would like us to use in some upcoming months, like a session all about keyword research, a session all about how to package, price, market, and sell SEO services, etc. If there are any of those types of kind of general topic requests, like today we covered GA4 and AI, that you'd like me to cover in the coming months, drop those into the chat here too, because that'd be really helpful so we make sure we're utilizing this time in a way that's valuable to you.
Thank you so much, Lindsay. That was, talk about like two jam-packed topics to put together, GA4 and ChatGPT AI.
We went high level on both of them, but hopefully they just give you just enough to feel comfortable getting in there and clicking around, and also talking more about how to talk to your clients about these things.
Yeah, it's been awesome. And we have a comment there from Jocelyn, very helpful. I know Christine was watching at the beginning. If you're still with us, thanks for watching. Yep, there she is. So super helpful. And for everyone watching, like Lindsay mentioned, this is going to be a monthly live stream that we do with Lindsay. So if you have SEO questions or questions about this, feel free to come back to this live stream, tag Lindsay in a comment in the Facebook group, whatever you want to do. Email me, Emily at GoWP, and we'll keep the running list of topics to cover as we continue this series on SEO with a great mind like Lindsay. We're really fortunate to have her doing this with us. So thank you so much, Lindsay. And I know ChatGPT has been the topic to talk about for the past few weeks as we've been having happiness hours and that sort of thing as well. So it was really cool to see how you're using it, because I know a lot of people are also thinking, oh, gee, if they're offering SEO services and content services, like, oh geez, what's going to happen? Where do I go with this? So it's best not to be scared and figure it out, right?
Yep, exactly. It's just getting our hands on things, and also, all we really have to do in so many spaces is stay a little ahead of our clients' learning curve on the topic. And with GA4, it's really easy to be ahead of the curve because Google's made it quite hard. And so, just to be proactive and letting the client know you're staying up to date, and you're learning in these areas, and you're applying it, across the board.
Absolutely. Really great advice. And there's a question from Elaine here from Facebook. Are there any resources you'd recommend to step through for setting up GA4?
Yeah, that's good. Great question. And give me a day or two and let me get a blog post on the Pathfinder blog. We've got a lot of resources in Pathfinder for our Pathfinder subscribers about this whole transition. And so we will, I'll try to get something on our blog as well that just boils down what we talked about today in broad stroke steps. There's, let's see, it's on YouTube. The channel I've been learning a lot from is Loves Data. Let me see if I can find it, because I've got, of course, got it. It's the user Loves Data. Benjamin Mangold. I've taken a course from him, but I've also found his GA4 training resources in just his YouTube channel have been really excellent. And kind of just trying to do bite-sized pieces in the learning instead of having to learn all things GA4 at once. Just kind of jump in there and watch a video or two, apply that knowledge and take it incrementally.
Awesome. And that was Loves Data. I see.
Yeah. And I'm trying to see, I'm new to this. Here, I'm going to drop it into the chat to you, Emily, and then you can grab that in there. And let me see. We've got a whole section in our Pathfinder blog that is all about GA4. Well, all about GA. It's not all just exclusively about GA4, but there's a getting started with Google Analytics 4 in there. And there's a GA4 for agencies and things like that. So there's a few more specific resources in there for you to get your hands on.
Awesome. Fantastic. And yeah, I see Jeanette's talking about, she was a little confused about the time. Apologies. That was apparently my fault. I swear Facebook's playing tricks on me because this is the second time it's happened, but I had the time wrong on the Facebook event. So that's why some people were confused as to what time this started today. But ongoing, it will be on Thursdays at 1 p.m. Is it the first Thursday at 1 p.m., first Thursday of the month. So I'll get those posted in the Facebook group. And if you subscribe, if you're watching over on YouTube, just subscribe to the channel and you'll get notifications when I schedule upcoming events, and you'll see it there. So thank you so much, Lindsay. And we can't wait for the next one. I mean, everyone is just blown away by how much they learned on this quick session today. So very exciting.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much, Emily, and for everybody for joining us. And I'll look forward to seeing you next month, same time, same place, new topic, and bring your questions and we'll keep it going.
Awesome. Thank you. And everyone, thank you for coming and watching. And